the facts from the fear that's going on out there a lot. Uh, you know, we can, if we don't stand up to this, we could get overrun, in my opinion, by this real fast. Again, I kind of hit the report. The latest one I seen was uh, California in the first quarter is down $9 billion from their projections over this, and that's only probably counting a month of this or a few weeks, a couple of weeks of this coronavirus stuff. It's going to have devastating consequences all across the board on this stuff, and we can't take it. And I mean the long-term damage of the way overreaction to the things we shouldn't be overreacting to the underreaction of the things we should be doing, is really got me concerned. We talked a lot about it. This deal, and Susan Shelley said they kind of backed off on it. But the LA sheriff yesterday just declaring gun stores are non essential businesses and we're going to shut them down. I mean, really? How do you come up with that? What was your reasoning on that, Sheriff Mike Villanueva? I'd like to know what type of thinking's going on that. We're doing a lot of this stuff to ourselves, I think, in a lot of cases. We really need to step back and sometimes just pause and take and settle down and really analyze what's going on. I cited the one in the Wall Street Journal today, the newspaper, the op-ed editorial by two Stanford professors and doctors. They teach the physicians that are going to be working on you in the future or are working on you now. And they said this coronavirus thing is way overblown. There is no way the projections are even going to be close to what's coming on. And that's pause for concern. Again, like I said about Tom Friedman, the on op-ed in the New York Times, and Tom Friedman is no friend of Donald Trump. Let me put it that way. And he's saying, hey, he didn't really say it, but he said, we got to watch that Trump was right, but he said, we got to start looking at what kind of long-term damage we're doing to the economy and stuff on this. Because, man, there is, and I've said it, a lot of Dr. Kelly Victory's been on the show a couple of times this week saying, we're not saying that there isn't pause to be concerned, that we should be concerned or taking care of this, but we should be realistic of what's going on. And we should be dealing with it honestly not trying to scare people like Gavin Newsom. Oh, 1 million people could die in California, 25 million could be infected. Well, probably is true, 25 million could be infected, but there is no evidence that I have seen that comes anywhere credible of that. The 1 million figure comes as if we did absolutely nothing, had no hospitals, everybody was just, nobody could be taken care of. This thing just starts spreading like crazy. Then you could even start thinking about numbers of what we're talking about. It looks like we're talking about what a normal flu or virus season would be, probably on the high side. Trump mentioned 50,000 deaths. Well, the highest in the last decade was the 2017-18 flu season, because the flu season kind of runs in the fall to winter months, because that's when the viruses usually take hold. Heat usually kills off viruses. You don't get a lot of viruses or flu in the summertime when it's 110 degrees or whatever in the middle of Phoenix. So your flu seasons are kind of like in that period from fall to early springtime. So we had 60,000 deaths in that. The lowest we had was 2010-11, which was 12,000, which was a light. We've averaged 36,000 deaths per year in the last 10 years, as Donald Trump brought out in the press conference, in his daily press conference today. And that's just what happens every year. Now, I caught a report on one of the news services on the dominant media that said the 24 that died in the nursing home up in Seattle, that nursing home is also a hospice home, and all 24 of them were in the hospice hospital, which means you are going to die very soon of something anyway. Not to make light of anything, but your time on Earth was getting real short anyway, and that backs up the statistics that we've heard from Italy. Over 90% of the people who have died of COVID-19 have had at least one underlying condition. 56% had three underlying conditions when they went into the hospital. Most experts have said most people that are going to get this are going to have very mild to moderate symptoms. It is not a danger per se in a very small population, percentage of the population. Yes, it is, like is in most cases. These things are dangerous, or you've got to take precautions. This is not shutting down the whole country over this. As Dr. Brick said, 56% of all the cases or deaths in this deal in the United States right now are focused in 4 counties right around New York City. So, again, I don't see the whole enchilada where we're getting the whole epidemic panic. Everybody should be concerned. The sky's falling. We need to do this. It's going to be good. Gavin Newsom, well, we may be locked down throughout summer, and Garcetti out there threatening to go after people and businesses that are open or people that were at the beach or whatever. That's a total, in my opinion, and a lot of the opinion of the experts coming out now, is a total overreaction to what's going on. And as in Dr. Kelly Victory said, people getting the virus and building up the immunity to it is a good thing. As in most cases with these, that's how you fight it off. If you get it, you survive it in most cases. Most people do. It goes on, it dies out or whatever. But the immigration line, again, like we were talking about earlier, and I didn't have a lot of time to do that. But one of the reporterettes was asked that question. Oh, well, what about closing down the flights to China and China virus and all this sort of Trump? And Trump said, the if I wouldn't have closed down travel to China in the beginning, this thing would have been a lot worse. And he's probably absolutely exactly right. Because as I think Fucci or whatever his name was explained later on in the press conference that, this stuff is going to come back around. And China, was on the downhill slide of the curve. Pretty much, had it under control, but then they relaxed their international travel restrictions, and then they started importing it back in. So as we said, this is a reason why we have immigration laws, we have customs, we want to know who's in our country, who's coming in and out, and all this stuff, because if things are happening, this is quickly we can identify that, stop it, contain it, deal with it before it gets out of control. I don't know why he's coming in on the, let's see, Dwayne's checking. Let me see if I can hit him on the, deal. I'll hit him over here. Let's see if I can, because Dwayne, I want to get his take on this from Idaho. Let me see, all these nice little technical things that come on when you're doing this stuff. We'll see if we can get hooked up with Dwayne on this. But anyway, as you're doing that, as you're hearing the stuff coming in on the background on that, I think we may have Dwayne. Let's see if that does it. Are you there? We'll see if we can hook up on. on the part on that. We got you on Skype. Try this again. Ah, here we go. Maybe this will do it. I wish I knew how to run these things a little better. Are you there now? Ah, I think I finally got you. Got Dwayne up on Skype, I hope. Finally. Yes, I don't know. I had it hooked up to PC2, which we run the stream out on, so I had to switch you over to PC1 so we could get you on. But hopefully Kenny White will be on that. No, I was explaining a little bit of that. But you called me earlier today and said you got some information on what's happening on Idaho for the latest stuff on the latest on coronavirus.
Yeah, our idiot governor decided to hitch his wagon to the crazy train and go ahead and basically lock us down and give us martial law, soft martial law. It's we just went down into town just to see.
Hang on. He did not declare martial law. I'm saying.
No, it's a soft martial law. It's declaring martial law without the declaration. So what he has done is he has issued, just like the governor of your state, a statewide stay-at-home order, and so that closes everything down. If you want to eat, you got to accept takeout, which is asinine. If you want to get anything done, it's only got to be essential services, which means you have to either work for a veterinary hospital, a bank, a grocery store. Within minutes of this moron coming up with this edict, the lines were forming at the grocery store.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people, and get this, he wants to do this for 21 days, effective immediately. So when we went into town, it was like a ghost town. Nothing is open. There was a couple of restaurants you could do takeout from, but very little else. And what was interesting is in an old Kmart parking lot, one of the car dealerships was having a big deal with a bunch of cars there. Well, it was chirping crickets. There was nobody there. They had a bunch of cars there, but of course the governor probably didn't tell him that he was going to do that. He didn't tell anybody. This flipping idiot, and I'm not using this term loosely. This flippin' idiot has gone to crazy town on this and just swallowed the CDC line that everybody's going to fall over dead if you don't mother everybody into oblivion and make sure that you wipe their butts and their noses to make sure they don't get anything. And as Kelly Victory already told us, you need to get this. That's how you get antibodies from. So
Yes. I think there we back up. Yeah, I hit the wrong button here.
Well, that's not the first time. So to reiterate, you need to switch cameras. I'm looking at the Toyota sign. I'm not seeing you.
Yeah, no, because I'm sitting behind the engineering desk, so that's all you're going to see right now. Until I might flip the camera around, but that's just deal with it.
So this is the idiocy we're dealing with in the new age. So what they do is they march out martial law, but they don't call it that. And you can look. I don't care how you want to slice it. Nobody at the press conference asked the governor, well, what's the punishment if somebody decides they don't want to follow your rules? Or are you going to set up checkpoints? Are you going to be checking people's papers? How is this going to be enforced? Nobody asked them that. They asked him stupid questions. I mean, some of it was just softball questions, and the rest of it was really stupid stuff. I can't remember what one guy asked him, or just a.
Do I get
Hello?
you, Kenny? Yes.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
Absolutely fantastic. Now, if I can figure this stuff out, let's see. Let's see. I gotta see if I can get Dwayne back on. I still got you there, Kenny. Uh, is Kenny there? Do I got Dwayne?
I'm here.
Okay. Let's see if I can get Kenny on too. I don't know if it bumped him off or what. I'm trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah,
Uh,
I kind of got that.
yeah, I'm trying to get you both on, and I don't know. I know there's a way to do this, but uh, I'm doing a
You,
yeah,
is Kenny calling in
yeah. Kenny's
on the
calling
show?
in. Yeah,
Okay, that's how you got to do it on the show line, I think.
right. Of popping in on this. Okay, just keep talking.
So anyway, what they've done essentially is given us a stay-at-home order. That's the official statewide stay-at-home order. Is the official mantra that's coming. The edict that was given to us today, effective immediately, which caused a panic at the grocery stores instantaneously, which I'm sure it did in California as well when Gruesome Newsom did the same thing. You know, and you've got.
So, Kenny, I got you back.
Hello?
Yeah, finally got you back on here. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. I got Dwayne from Idaho on, and I'm trying to figure out how to get you guys both on. But you might hear it dinging back in, and I'll see if I can get you both. He just said they just locked down basically with an order in Idaho. Same thing like California. Everybody stay at home.
Well, that's crazy. If you've been watching my Facebook, and we see each other on Facebook, they say they're locking down non-essential businesses. Well, like I had to explain to a young millennial today, when it comes to small businesses, the business and the owner are one and the same. We pour our life's blood into these businesses. So when they say non-essential business, they're technically saying non-essential family.
Right. No.
You know?
Yes. It's absolutely crazy. All this stuff, and you would figure Idaho would be one of the last places to do this. But I know you'd really be on top of this, or I know you heard it, and I think he's backing up on it. But yesterday, Sheriff Mike Villanueva of LA County said, and closed down all the gun stores and said they are non-essential businesses.
And see, that right there, Roy, you're absolutely right. And I know you're on top of it too. They're going a bridge too far. Like I said, when it comes to the tinfoil hat group, it's the Democrats that's handing them the tinfoil. Because this is getting a little bit too far. President Trump is absolutely right. If you saw it on my Facebook, what did I say? Anything you do for 30 days becomes habit. We cannot get used to this. This is too much. So I guess, it's like the OK Corral, in my opinion. I'm not trying to be a dramaticist, but I'm simply saying, in 7 days, the president's going to assess where we are, and he may say, let's get back to business as usual, and the Democrats may say something different.
Yeah, it's absolutely that. I think I got Dwayne. Are you on the line, on the phone line?
I am.
Okay, so I got you on. We got Kenny on. I had to call an audible here because I'm not technically inclined to get this stuff. I got to get more instruction how to get two people on Skype. But now we got Dwayne on Idaho on, and I just Kenny was. I told him about the order that happened up in Idaho and the gun ban that Sheriff Mike Villanueva did about that on that. So you're kind of clued in. But go ahead and finish your thought, Kenny.
Hey, Dwayne, how you doing?
Good to hear from you, man. Long time.
Exactly. So watch this. I'm going to say it, and you're going to finish it. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Congress shall make no laws that abridges what?
I'm going to say the United States Constitution.
No.
Right.
Congress shall make no law that abridges the rights of the people to keep and bear arms.
Oh,
That's
yes,
the Second Amendment.
How did I miss that?
I don't know, brother. I threw an easy curveball on that one. But yeah, that's, but watch this. It don't matter. It don't matter. All three of us are lockstep on that.
Yes,
don't tread on me.
Yes.
So today I went in this was shortly after the governor's edict. I decided to go over to the Sportsman Warehouse just to see for myself. And I walked in. They have a rope line. You have to go to the front of the counter now and get weighted on one at a time, which they didn't before. The ammunition was probably at 10% of its regular inventory, and the gun volume was probably equally at 10%. As far as handguns, you could buy rifles. They have a few shotguns and some ARs and stuff left. But this was just my own, for my own edification to see what was in inventory. Now, what the other places like Cabela's and places like that have, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's getting kind of freaky. And, being a brother from the south side of Chicago, I'm just going to break it down like this. Hey, if a man knows he's cheating on his woman, if that man knows he beats on his woman, there ain't nowhere in the world he going to let her shave him with a straight razor. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going to happen. So what we do, I'm just going to break it down.
I'm not trying to make light of it.
So
but that
look at
just
what the Democrats are doing.
Yeah.
They're worried about us having guns.
Yes.
They're making lines. They're decreasing ammunition. That's because they know they're cheating, and they don't want us to have a straight razor. It's that simple.
And I want to get first. I'll do Kenny in that and Dwayne. I kind of sense you have the same concern I have. I mean, I try to stay off the conspiracy theories and all that stuff. But man, I'm just getting an uneasy feeling about this whole thing.
You're supposed to, Roy. Watch this, Roy. You and I have been together for a long time. We even worked on the same radio station together.
Yeah.
And if anybody, and I'm talking back to you and my man, right? Watch this. If anybody had told you 5 years ago that what he just related to us from Idaho was going down, none of us would believe it.
Correct.
But it's happening right now.
And
today.
Dwayne, you're up there living it, and you moved up there, I think, about 5 years ago from Southern California, Riverside area. Of that. When you moved up there 5 years ago, to reiterate on Kenny's thought there, would you have thought 5 years ago or even a year ago that you would be under this sort of order in Idaho in the United States of America?
No. And the Governor Little ran, on the whole premise of Second Amendment protection and liberties. He ran as a libertarian conservative Republican, and he just threw that right in the trash can today. I'm going to calm down before I pen him an email, but he lost my vote forever. I will never vote for this guy again, ever, period. This guy is a dumbass, and I can't stress that enough. I mean, let's just call it what it is. He went ahead and bought the party line, hook, line, and sinker. Oh, this is a pandemic. It's going to kill all these people. Roy, we've already talked about the numbers on this, and they're saying, well, look at the rates. The numbers are increasing. Yes, because the amount of people, the sampling of testing that you're using has increased 150%. So if by definition, if you only have a 2% infection rate, guess what? It just tripled. Oh my gosh. But it's still at 2%.
And even if it wasn't, brother, we got people dying from the flu. Well, watch this. We got people in the inner cities of America dying from lead flu. Flu. And they die, there's more of them dying than from COVID-19, China virus, whatever way you want to call it. We got a problem. Here because let's use me as an example. I own a small business, but I'm a vendor. I've been to restaurants, nightclubs, things like that. Well, I got notices from all my clients. Sorry, Ken, but we're closing the doors. Sorry, we can't use you until further notice. All my client base is gone. I'm self-employed. What am I supposed to do now?
That's a distressing situation. We're on the bonus broadcast on Wednesday night on March 25th on IE Newswire Daily. We have Ken White, the guy from the The south side of
Southside
Chicago.
Unicorn Show.
Yeah, south side of the Unicorn Show from the south side of Chicago. We've done a lot of radio broadcasts over the years on that, and
We
we're
go
getting
a
hooked
long
back
ways
up.
back, brother.
Yeah,
You gotta
and we're getting hooked
mind
back
it.
up together. We got Dwayne from Idaho on there, and yeah, we've had some distressing stuff. I mean, Dwayne just reiterated that in Idaho they have a lockdown just like in California, but basically going nowhere, stay at home, non-essential services, whole rigmarole. I've said it many times. People are probably want to hang myself when I say it, but I've said it. Don't let the cancer of California spread across the other 49 states. And I've said they start 98.7% of these nutty ideas out here. Man, this is one I really don't like seeing spreading across the United States. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just getting a very, I keep thinking and waking up every day thinking, yeah, some's going to turn on this. And it did a little bit today, I was impressed with some of the things Trump had to say at the press conference. But again, man, when is this stuff going to stop or start turning around? Kenny?
Yeah,
Well-
I've got to address what Trump said. There was one particular thing that I really did not like. It's when one of the reporters asked him a question about some of the pork being added by Pelosi et al. And he's like, well, you got to give them something for the Kennedy Center, otherwise they won't deal. You know what? Screw that. This is an emergency that you created, that you hyped up. The media and the damn CDC told us, oh, we're going to start dropping dead like flies if we don't do something immediately. You created this mess. And now, and at the dark of night, you're going to basically beat us over the head with safety. All we have to do is give up a little more money. This money that they're doling out, by the way, is you and me paying into the coffers. It's Ken White paying into the coffers. Now, how is he going to do that when he's not getting a paycheck, by the way? Where does the money come from, Roy and Ken? Where does the money come from?
There you go. Yeah, Ken, what's your take on this $2 billion or $2 trillion, let me see, I wish it was $2 billion, $2 trillion bailout package?
Well, bottom line is this. That's why those fools are called politicians, because they got to put up with that kind of crazy BS, where you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. If you want this money to save your precious Americans, like I say, go check out my Facebook page. It has a lot of memes on it that make a lot of sense. One of them is President Trump in the Superman outfit. And I said, what the Democrats and left have done, they have threatened what means the most to the president, which is America and the American people. Nancy Pelosi is sitting there with a pen going, if you want to save those nasty, pitiful deplorables, then you got to give me something. Now, you got to decide which hill are you going to die on. He's shown us what they've done. I'm going to be quick on this. He's shown us what they've done. It really falls on us in November. We have got to vote them out of office.
Yes.
Period.
Preach it, brother.
They got to go.
I agree.
One way or the other, they're going to have to go in a minute, because when you start taking our guns, I can't go outside my house at midnight. I play Pokemon, just, for people to understand. You know what I'm saying? I like Pokemon Go. So every now and then when I can't sleep at night or I'm trying to do some show prep or whatever, I'll go out through this beautiful city of mine and I'll spin some spinners, right? Well, now I can't do that. Now I can't do that because I got a shelter in place over COVID-19, a.k.a. China virus.
You're on the track. I mean, I don't, and we can get into the debates, later on this. And this is the reason why you should have a balanced budget or stuff for emergencies or coming up with that. But start out with $1 trillion, which was ridiculous. Then it got to $2 trillion before they finally passed it. But there is. You got to plan for these emergencies, and when they happen, yeah. Okay, help out small businesses like Kenny White or us or something like, or Dwayne up there or something like that. Add the unemployment to $600 on top of your unemployment for a certain amount of time. That should have been the bill. What stabilize stabilize business, stabilize the people, make sure we're not starving to death. We're not, we did this, hit us on the blind side. Okay, we got it. No. Not laden it with all kinds of pork. This is what This is what concerns me, and I talked about the report. $9 billion just in the first quarter. They're estimating we're going to be down because capital gains and real estate prices are crashing right now on that in the state of California. Man, if this starts rippling like this, we all going to be in a world of hurt.
Oh yeah. Put it this way. This is my basic primer, and I say it to everybody. Where you see timing, you must also see planning. This COVID-19, this China virus, oh boy, did it come along at the most inopportune time in American history. Am I right?
Yes.
I don't believe it was an accident. I'm so sorry. Watch this. Is China virus, is COVID-19 real? Yes. Listen to the CDC. Get your healthcare tips because this is real. However, the timing of it says that, in my opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, not reflective of the show or anybody else, I believe we just got hit with chemical warfare.
Dwayne.
Well, Ken, there's a lot of factual evidence to back up that statement. There have been several people that have come forward and to say that this was a weaponized version of a virus and that it originated over here. It was given to the Chinese and they weaponized it, and then either it backfired on them trying to give it to us, or they didn't care. They got 3 billion people. They don't care if they lose 500,000. That's a bump in the road to them.
Watch this. Ready? They are in one with nature. That's why even bats, cats, rats, boats, trucks, and planes don't bother them. They're in tune with nature. Okay, I want you to think about a hurricane. A hurricane has what? It has a centrifugal wind force, 200 miles an hour, whatever, but it radiates outward, right?
Yes.
Correct.
But what's going on with the middle of a hurricane, brother? What's in the middle of a hurricane?
It's the calmest place you can be in the world. There's absolute serenity and silence.
And guess how? Look at China now. They doing okay now.
Yes.
All they did was start the hurricane. They started the hurricane and sent it to us.
Kenny, you stepped you segued in and not stepped on. Segued into something that came out in the press conference. And I call him the sawed-off guy because I can't name his name Fiduci or whatever, the epidemiologist on that. But or it could have been Dr. Burks or whatever. But I think it was Fiduci or whatever the heck his name is. He said, we were talking to China and they said, they're on the bottom side of the curve. Everything was calming down, but they said, watch for this. We relaxed our international travel. And all of a sudden, it looks like it's starting to come back in. I've said this. This is the reason we have borders. This is the reason why we need to know who's coming in and out of the country. And people in this country should be in this country legally. This is the reason why we have a process so we can prevent these things from happening. And it's even happening not only here, but it's now happening in China. And they're saying, watch out. Be careful. Once you get it calmed down in your area, don't be so quick to relax these international travel regulations and stuff. Ken.
Well, I'm currently looking at the map right now. And
okay.
China's infection rate is 81,661. And it has it's plateaued there for about 3 to 4 days now. Italy is at 69,176. It's almost doubled in the last week. They've got it bad.
And guess what? That's like a hurricane. When you think about it, China's going to be fine. It's calming down. They had to try to make it look like an accident because if we could positively prove this was chemical warfare, you know what we would do to them. We would do it in a heartbeat. So they had to make it look like an accident. The bottom line to me is, with all the borders being closed, as Roy was pointing out, we closed our borders, or should I say our president closed our borders. He saved so many lives that the media needs to be ashamed of itself. Hillary Clinton needs to shut up like right now. The man saved lives when he shut them doors. If you watch this real quick, it reminds me of any of those submarine movies that you want to watch. You know how the submarine is sinking and they say, hey, you got to close the hatch. There's people inside the other part of the sub, but they say you got to close the hatch because if you don't, we'll lose the whole sub. Thank God we have a president that
Yes.
had the metal and the steel in his back to close the borders. Even though it hurt some people, it saved more than it hurt.
And you segued again. You're like reading my mind again. This is all coming
We
back.
used to
like,
work together, Roy.
yes,
Come on.
I know this coming back like the old San Bernardino days of that, because that was it. I mean, I almost jumped out of my chair and couldn't contain myself when the little reporterette at the Trump press conference today started that. Well, what about this China and the racists and calling it China virus, and why did you? It's racist to close the cut off the travel, and Trump said, wait a minute. Or Fiduci was started, and Trump jumped right in there and said, wait a minute. So that's the first thing I did once we knew the seriousness of this situation, as Dwayne pointed out. He was getting, got what was really going on, not the CDC saying, oh, nothing's happening, no worries, nothing. He said, that's the first thing I did was shut off travel to China. And he says, you don't know how many countless lives that saved. So I said, all you people that are getting sensitive about things like China virus and names like this and trying to do this, you know what? You are the ones that are making the problem worse. People, get real. Let's deal with the facts straight up, and that's how we'll get out of this stuff.
And wouldn't it be nice if we actually had some facts to deal with instead of conjecture? And Dr. Victory made the perfect analogy with this. There's some very bright, very sharp people there at the CDC that are extrapolating these models of doom and gloom that couldn't hit their butts with both hands because they don't see any patients. They're not clinicians. They don't see, so they're always working on these doom and gloom models. But I got to tell you, the reason, back to what Ken's point was, the reason is this was all on purpose. This was to see, hey, we're going to release this and kill their economy, and that'll teach them to meddle with us, the Chinese.
Pretty much, because, I look at it this way. When Jesus was up on the cross, he said, I thirst. And what did they do? Instead of giving him water, they gave him like this vinegar type wine stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to say that Donald J. Trump, the president, is Jesus Christ. Don't get it twisted. But President Donald J. Trump said, hey, look, what have you got to lose? I want to make America great again. And what did the Democrats give him instead? False impeachments, Russian collusion, da-da-da-da-da. He went to the Chinese government. He said, look, I'm not trying to punk you out. I'm tired of you punking us out. Can we have some fair, respectful business? And instead of dealing with him, because you got to remember, we signed a treaty. What was it, Roy? Dwight, what was it, like 4 weeks ago? We signed a treaty with China?
Yes, we finally got a trade agreement that started pulling the pendulum back, that was like 100 and gazillion% in favor of China. The biggest damage we've done, and we've talked about manufacturing, Trump bringing it back. One of the biggest damages we've done to the United States of America is letting China and other countries steal our intellectual property and move the manufacturing overseas, and now we're reaping the seeds that we've sowed of that.
Exactly. And see, on the south side of Chicago, we call that getting punked.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is our President Donald J. Trump, went to them and said, look, I ain't trying to hurt you. I just want fair trade for my people. And what was their response back to us? COVID-19, a.k.a. China virus.
Dwayne.
Right. And so can you imagine? Now let's look in the future. This lesson taught us what? That we are over-reliant on the Chinese economy for basic goods and services that used to be available here. So my prediction is this. You may have struck a wound in us. You may have actually affected our economy. Once this thing snaps back and people get over themselves, you're not going to be able to hold this economy down. China is going to wish to hell they never screwed around like this. Because now what they've done single-handedly is united every American against China and for America.
With the exception of the mainstream media and Democrats.
Well, you know what? They can sit there and bark at the moon all they want. At the end of the day, that's all they're doing is barking at the moon. And even, look, we used to have common sense Democrats in this country. Even those people are looking at these people in the media now going, hey, you know what? You're just not cutting it. You can't never Trump 100% of the time and expect us to keep tuning in.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Sooner or later, the American, you know what, Dwight? I don't want to miss this question with you, brother. I got to ask a question. Okay, just like Roy said earlier, California shouldn't infect all the other states, right?
Correct.
Well, I got a question to ask my man Dwight. Oregon is a hot mess. Oregon may as well, I call it Californian. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's Californian because it's all one and the same. So what's up with your area, bro? Is it like a bunch of lefties out there, or are there any Americans left in your area?
No, just about everybody that I have talked to is of the same opinion as I am, which was, hey, look, we need to go about living our lives and just, for those people that have compromised situations, we need to make the right accommodations for these people, not go off the frickin' deep end. What you had was you got a bunch of people coming in from not necessarily the left, but coming from big government, the Obama holdovers, promising our governor that if he doesn't do this drastic action, all hell's going to break loose and he won't get reelected. Well, I got news for him now. He's not getting my vote ever again.
But that's what I'm asking you, brother. I mean, are you like a lone wolf, or are there a lot of pissed off white boys out there?
Now, see, wait a minute. I just want to say, when Kenny made that little remark, I didn't crawl under the desk in the fetal position and think my world is coming to me. Yes. I mean, get over this sensitive stuff. It's the way we talk. We talk to each other like this when we're sitting at the bar or we're discussing it in the park or that. But when,
exactly.
And then,
or watch this one, ready? Or when we're in the golf cart,
yes,
if you know what I mean.
Yes. Yeah, we're sitting there at the football game or something, at the races or whatever. This is how we talk. We don't us falling apart like China virus. Us falling apart or trying to twist it around into something else of that. You know what? All y'all of the media, and if you were a CNN reporter, were calling it China virus or Chinese virus when it first started, when it broke. What? It wasn't racist then. I mean,
no. Well, they had the talking point. They had. Watch this, and I'm sure Dwight's going to probably
it's Dwayne.
Back this up. Dwayne, I'm so sorry, Dwayne.
Yeah, no problem.
I have never in my life seen a president like Donald J. Trump. This man, and I'm saying it just to be fun. Right. I'm not being racist or poignant. I say it out of love and fun. That's one bad white boy. He is not to be played with. Every time they think they're going to back him up in the corner, President Donald J. Trump brings it right to him. Stop calling it that. It's not the Chinese. Because he said, hey, look, it started in China. I'm calling it that because they tried to burn our military. They're trying to say we gave it to them.
Dwayne.
I agree. You got a guy that loves to fight. This guy doesn't back down. He's not afraid of getting a bloody nose.
Well, watch this, and I know, Roy, you pull me back when I get a little too happy, okay?
Okay.
But he is what you call President Donald J. Trump is a man's man.
Yes.
Now, that word hasn't been used in a long time, but he's the kind of man that other men rally around, and that's why they hate him so much, because he defies what they want us to start being, this weird gender stuff and whatnot. No, President Donald J. Trump is 100% man, and he's making other men realize, you know what, maybe I need to up my game too.
I'm not going to stop you, Kenny. I'm gonna ante this thing up. Donald J. Trump has balls, and that's the difference between, and that's, again, we can talk about this, and maybe it's a discussion for a different day, But I've been telling a lot, this, and I think we did. I came up with it when we were on broadcasting in San Bernardino. I said this war on the straight white male, and
Yes.
if you want to, and to extrapolate that to all males, so that you ladies or what, or you're trying to if you want 100% feminized society. Back to the old adage, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Yeah, we need your emotional side perspective of that, but we also, that's why nature created us, because you need that when it comes to nut cutting time. There's a time when you got to stand up there and fight, and that's what we were built for, and that's what Trump is doing. And again, not saying that you want that 100%, because we left to our own devices will get out of control, and we need, like you said, we need to be pulled back, and that's fine. But you don't want to cut it off 100%, because you're not going to like the result of that at all.
No, we don't need any more young boys wearing their sister's pants, cutting off the blood flow to their manhood. This is ridiculous what we have done to these children, and they need to get out of that. And we need to grab some of these young men and bring them with us and give them some man love, and we need to get their minds right. We need to show them what being a man's about. It's not about sitting on your cell phone playing video games all day long, talking and acting like a girl. You need to hang out with the men and act like men. There's a time you want to be with the women, that's great. But you don't.
But now, hold on. Now we're talking about what? Toxic masculinity, and that's that's a trick bag all to itself.
That's a real virus. That's the one that has no cure.
Some would say that. Yes, go ahead, Dwayne.
No, and look, that's the natural order of things. Can you imagine the Great Generation, the men that fought World War II? Can you imagine what they think of the young men of today, the ones that are left?
Oh man, they would get beat down. I'm sorry to say it, but to be honest, the men of World War II, and Roy, I can see you got Darlene on the show. Her father was a soldier in World War II. Man, let me tell you, we have family members too. There's no way in the world the stuff that's going on in America today would be happening without some kind of a response. Trust.
No, I get it. I mean, I think all of us, and a lot of us, a very small percentage of us have been sending these signals out all the time, and now, because we did not want it to get to a crisis point or what we're seeing, we, as I've said, and you guys may agree or disagree, I couldn't predict exactly what was going to happen, but we knew something was going to happen if this was left unfettered. And looking, again, like I say, driving past the hood ornament so you don't crash. This is where the discussion's got to be going on in the future, so we don't wind up in this same boat about ready to sink again.
No, and we've got to take control of the situation. And we were, like you said, we were the ant on the tractor tire. We knew something was going on. We just couldn't quite put our finger on it. You could tell. I mean, if you breathe air and you have your eyes and your wits about you, you could sense something was happening. And this, I believe that this is a test case. What they're doing in California and Idaho, what they've done in Texas. I heard today somebody was talking to me that down in Texas, they've got the police sitting in the grocery stores to make sure things don't get out of hand. Now, I don't know about you, but when you use law enforcement to come in and referee a situation, that crosses a line.
To make sure you ain't stealing more biscuits than the guy next to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not the biscuit beaters,
Right.
That's a new one. I ain't heard that before.
Well, I mean, when you break it down, my man is right. Well, what do you need the police inside of a grocery store for? That's we are really getting on the skids. The Raptors are falling down. Bottom line, and Roy, I got to put it. Hey, that's a nice hat, Roy. I'm liking that hat. That's working. Watch this. For over 15 years, an organization that I know called Brothers of America. All they need is the people to get behind them and some financing. They have predicted this. They said it would happen. And without going too far off the subject, we got this governor of ours, and he's in odds with they're too far apart. The governor says, "Oh, this is going to last till June." Yeah. President Trump is saying this is going to end before the Lord's celebration of Easter, and we really need to get it. And watch this. I'm being very careful what I'm going to say, but you guys chime in and tell me if I got my tinfoil hat on too tight. Ready?
Go.
We damn sure better get ourselves ready before that damn Ramadan starts, because every year we know something stupid pops off on Ramadan. So, it's almost like I'll be damned, because that's where we're headed. So whatever this is we're dealing with as a nation, I think we need to batten down the hatches, get this thing understood. It's COVID-19, a.k.a. China virus, that's serious.
Yeah, it is. And it was brought up, and I was great. One of the things, and it was concerning me about Trump because, he was like that, but, it came out that the CDC was the one that gave him the bad advice on that, and then he started that. But again, this week I'm seeing Trump being back to Trump. Like I said, Kenny was nice manhood. I said, he got his balls back, or he's doing that. Like that. When he made the announcement, he set the target date for April 12th. We need to get this country back on track. And it was that, and I even see Fiduci or whatever his name was. He was kind of, because he was like going the 6-week stuff and all that, But he was like peeling back the onion a little bit on this stuff. And Trump reiterated, he said April 12th, or if we can do it sooner. And it was emphasized by both him and Mike Pence, said we're 10 days into this 15-day recommendation, which means we're only 5 more days, which isn't even going to put us right to the end of March. So I'm thinking between April 1st and April 12th, Trump's going to have this edict out, of lifting the recommendation of the United States overall of this, getting people back to work, back to our normal daily lives, and doing this, and hopefully working with these nutcase governors that are getting their panties all in a bunch over this, or trying to scare the people to death of this, and saying, hey, enough is enough. We got this under control. That we do know New York's got a problem. 56% of the cases are in 4 counties around New York City. Of all the deaths and all the outbreak of this is not a reason to close down or shut down the major portion of the United States over this.
Yeah, America wasn't designed for this. I mean, from the day of Plymouth Rock, America's been hustling. Have we had our problems? Was slavery like a pain in the butt? You better bet it was. But America is Hustle City. That's who we are. I don't know what to do with myself, guys. I'm sitting here and I'm like, what, okay, we're going to pump out the show. We do some show prep, and that's what we're supposed to do. But come on now, locked in the house, no idea of when you can leave. All the businesses in my downtown area are boarded up.
Wow. Yeah, and that's what Dwayne was explaining of that. Just on the first hours of this, what was happening in Idaho when this, social distancing, which I call, I kind of agree with your premise. This is martial law light, even though there's nothing official behind it.
Right.
Exactly. That's a good word. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Within the minutes of the moron's speech, we get panic from the people. He didn't do anything to allay anyone's fears. He fomented more panic. He was vague and ambiguous. He went on these talking points that are going to send us down the road, into oblivion. Now, Idaho is not a big industrial commerce state. We don't have a lot of manufacturing here. We're mostly an agrarian society, so we're not going to run out of food.
Well, yeah, I guess the biggest thing you're famous for is manufacturing potatoes.
You got it. So we're not going to go hungry in this state. I can guarantee that. But what President Trump did by putting a date on this was like any good manager. He's saying, I want results, and I'm not going to let you kick this down the road forever. It's going to be done, and it's going to be done by this date, or somebody's head's going to roll. Because that's what a good CEO does. He puts expectations on people, and then he enforces those expectations. And if they don't meet it, he cuts their head and moves on. And that's the thing that keeps this train running, that they cannot get. They don't understand, because it's always been, we get whatever we want and however long we want it. And Trump said, okay, I'll give it to you. You got 5 weeks, and then we're done. And then we're moving on. The train's getting new coal and water on board, and we're headed down the tracks. And that's the thing that it's completely ruining their minds. How can this guy get up there? Well, you've already seen, what was it, yesterday, the stock market went back up huge amount, and that's just on Trump being Trump, saying, hey, if we got this under control, okay, we got this. Yes, it's going to throw us for a loop, but it's going to be a temporary cycle, everybody. Just hold on to yourself. We'll get through this, and we'll move on. The one thing I do think you're going to see out of this, like I said before, you will see manufacturing coming back, especially in the drug areas, because 80% of our pharmaceuticals are made in China. You're going to see a lot of that come back to the United States. And the Chinese won't know what hit them, because just like we did with the Saudis, hint, hint, look at the price of oil. Oil has fallen like a rock because we're making our own. And we told the Saudis, pound sand. We don't give a damn what you charge for it. We've got our own oil. So you do whatever you want to do over there. We don't need it anymore. Well, this is going to be the same thing with China. We're going to come through this, and this is going to be like the 72 oil crisis. We're going to tell China, okay, you got your licks in. Point taken. Now we're going to withdraw and take our people back out of there and chop your nose off. And you guys can just sit over there by yourselves, and we might throw some scraps to you once in a while, but get a load of this train because it's ready to go.
Kenny. Do we have Ken?
Don't tell me we lost Ken.
Maybe we lost Ken on that whole enchilada.
I don't know.
Are you there, Ken? I think we may have lost. Yeah, I think we might have lost.
Skype connection fall down.
Could have on that, or the operator over here doesn't know what he's doing. That could possibly be the deal. No, I hope you're correct on that whole on that deal, because man, you bring out the point, and I said it, and if it wasn't for Trump, doing the, releasing the regulations or reducing the regulations in oil and gas exploration and things like that. But going back to the 70s and when we started with the oil crisis and all that other stuff of going, and they said, peak oil and we're going to run out this, and we'll never have any to go, and it's we're gonna have to come up with something else. And now we got more than now. The United States is a net exporter of energy in starting in 2018, I believe, on that. And the same, why I bring that up is the same thing can happen, is exactly what Dwayne is talking about, what Trump campaigned on and said. We need to bring our manufacturing back. We need to have more control over this. When it gets too spread out, there can be dire consequences of this. And I really hope what you're saying is correct.
Well, I mean, historically, if you look at any time the United States has been kicked in the groin, what happens? We learn from it and we come back stronger. As Nietzsche said, that which does not kill you only makes you stronger. Well, America has been on an exceptional, rise back to, prosperity. And so what we're looking at is another boom time. Now, Donald Trump's probably the only president living that could do this. He's going to take this and he's going to end it by summer. And then I predict that by the time September rolls around, you're going to see the stock market way higher than it was before. And you're going to see manufacturing jobs rolling into this country like you haven't seen in 50 years.
I couldn't agree more on the whole enchilada on that. Let's see if we can get Ken back up on the whole enchilada on that. That's why you're hearing the dinging coming across on there. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy of what's going on this whole stuff, and I really hope you're right on this whole deal, because man, there's probably in this stuff there's probably no better deal of how to demonstrate what can go haywire on all this stuff that's going, and one of our best protections on it is going to be having more control, having that stuff on our soil, on our grounds, on our that, and then you're not dependent on these guys are pulling this stuff, or 80% of your pharmaceuticals on that, coming in on the.
It's already down on the Skype, so it's not.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to do that, so you're gonna have to
pull the board down. You get the board there.
Oh.
What you might want to do is see if you can get Ken on the phone. His connection might have fallen, and we could swap. I can go on Skype, and he can call in if that works.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I'm putting a message to him right now, so we'll see if we can do that going on. But I got it. So he's yeah, that was him. That was him on his end on that. So that's why he went off. So yeah, just keep. But no, you were right on the on that stuff. So just it's crazy on what's going on with this whole enchilada going on. I mean,
well,
again, not that I would want to bypass it or stuff, but we've had a lot of conversations on this off the air and stuff of that, and again, not to do it, but I mean, when you said they're locking down Idaho, that did not surprise me, because man, this thing is just, you can holler about Newsom or Como or all these guys in New York and California and go ha ha ha, but as I've said, it's establishment Republicans that are much more dangerous than Democrats, because these guys
by far and away. And this guy, Kenny was that kind of asking before, and I was going to finish up. I don't think he's going to stand a snowball's chance in hell for re-election. He just signed his own electoral death warrant, because everybody that I know in this state is not on board with the mainstream media lies and the big establishment hysteria and all of the lockdown and all. They're just not on board with it. Look, these are farmers. These are salt of the earth people. They get up at the crack of dawn. They make things grow. They figure out, when life throws them lemons, they make lemonade. They figure it out. They make their own tools, their own equipment. They adapt. They overcome. Adversity is just the nature of life for here. And that's statewide. That's the way we all look. We have some of the biggest wilderness areas in the world here, and they're tough. You got to be pretty, you can go on the edge of it, but it's kind of like getting into the Everglades. I mean, there's places that you can get lost in here. I mean, and these are hardy people that I live with. They're good people. That's why I wanted to move up here, because people are generally kind to one another. You don't have that everybody using up everybody's space because there's too many people per square inch down there, and I just don't see how if he gets reelected, it's because they literally can't run anybody with a pulse next to him. I mean, which wouldn't surprise me. The Democrats will throw money at him now because he's going sinker with them. I mean, lock, stock, and barrel. He's doubled down on stupid.
Let me see if I got you, Dwayne. Let me see if I Ken. Do I got you back? Kenny White, are you back on?
Had a bit of a technical difficulty.
There you go. Oh, you're back on. We got you hooked back in on this whole deal of that going on. But yeah, we got to get. I want to switch topics because there was one thing that was brought up, or that I brought up, about all this stuff, and we were talking about the stuff about Idaho again, and that of the danger of establishment Republicans are much more dangerous than Democrats, because you can holler about Cuomo and Newsom in California, New York, but when Idaho does this, starts this kind of stuff, and this starts snowballing, again we're in a heap of trouble on this stuff. But what really surprised me was an op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal by two medical professionals at Stanford University, one of the top medical schools in California, if not the world. And they said the same thing. These models that they're coming out that, 100,000, 1 million people are going to die in California or the United States, or just, to put it in plain hillbilly talk, just a bunch of BS. There's no way this is going to happen. They're totally blowing this out of proportion. Yeah, there's a problem. We do need to do some targeting stuff. But again, and how do when this is happening, and like the reports down in Texas are in the stores and stuff. I mean, we gotta stomp. I mean, that's what's really concerning me. We gotta stomp this stuff out, Ken.
Well, you got to do something because, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ken.
Okay, we got to do something because the bottom line is this: they push, we fall back. We got never Trumpers, we got the resistors. What are you resisting? What are you talking about? Never Trump. It's only 8 years. Get over yourself. But they keep pushing, and we fall back. Now our backs are up against the wall. And we have to try to figure out, did you put my back up against the wall for the firing squad, or is this the time that I'm supposed to push back and fight for my life?
Well, I'm going to say the latter. It's the time, we've had enough walking it back. It's time that we grew a pair and gotten somebody, figuratively got in their face, but if necessary, physically do it. I got to tell you, I'm a little concerned. Roy had that attorney on that very eloquently stated that it's not within the powers of the governor of California to block people from egress. Now, it is if they do what? The one thing that separates it, if they declare martial law, because that suspends the state constitution and gives the governor ultimate authority. And that's pretty much across the board in just about every state. So that's why they're walking a line. Now, they called the National Guard out. The National Guard is assisting. Well, the only time you call the National Guard out is when there's disaster relief like Katrina or hurricanes, floods, epidemics like we're having now. But it's just this side of martial law, folks. When they tell you there's a curfew, which they haven't done here, but when they tell you there's a curfew, look out. You're in martial law. Because the very next thing you're going to see...
purposes, yes, you're right. And that's the part that I'm taking great issue with, is that this... How can I put it? This is an overreach of incredible proportion. I think, and let me ask you a question, Roy. The lawyer that he was speaking about, would that happen to have been Tom Del Beccaro?
No, it was, close. It was Mark Mosier, the man who is a constitutional law attorney himself and ran for Secretary of State in the state of California in 2018. And we had him on the show Friday, and I need to get him back. Hopefully I can get him back on tomorrow or this Friday. He said basically there was no order. If you read it correctly, or the first part, he just said he'd, and he put on the case of his opinion of that it really wasn't a order to that, and there really was no teeth behind it. And then two, he stated a few case court precedents that this is stomping on the rights or on the United States Constitution. Some of the things he's putting in there, and I don't remember exactly what they were, but understand the supremacy clause. The state of California cannot make any law that violates the U.S. Constitution because it is supreme or superior over that.
Well, watch this. And I wish I could have been there to get this question put in there. This is what we have to watch out about the left. They change the meaning of words.
Yes.
They find bureaucracies that are unelected, put them in power, and they get the job done that legislation and voting and democracy would probably forbid. And what I mean by that is this. You know how I go the long way around the block.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is this. Why in the world is Gavin Newsom now only referring to California as a nation state? What's up with that?
Yeah, and I really, because the last question I asked him Friday was, are you or is somebody, are you going to file a case for somebody to do this? And I haven't heard anything, so I really need to touch base with them and see that. And because I don't know, maybe at this point our last option is to seek relief in the courts or try to get a court order to stop some of this stuff that's going on. Because one thing, and I just want to do this, and Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, was on there saying, we're getting with the DA and we're going to start going after businesses that are open and not abiding with our orders, or people that were on the beach this weekend, which there was like one every 3 miles, it looked like. We know who you are. Were they tracking them with their cell phones, or they're doing face recognition? This stuff is, again, I mean, I don't like to go down conspiracy road, but again, it just, the noise I'm hearing from some of these politicians is just not giving me the warm and fuzzies.
I got to ask a question here. Where was all this enforcement during the Rodney King riots? They didn't bother to do jack. They basically walled off an entire sector of the city and let everybody loot and pillage and bomb things. Now they're telling you that if you dare come out of your house, they're going to come down on you?
That's what I heard. What do you say? What's your take on it, Kenny?
Well, bottom line, and you know me, I like to keep it real. It goes in the same spirit that they're releasing all these prisoners. Now, I mean, you got to get this. Yeah. They're releasing prisoners for COVID-19, a.k.a. China virus, but they're putting us in our houses. We, the law-abiding citizens, are forced to be, I guess, interred in our homes while they're releasing prisoners. And this is my answer to the Rodney King question. They're not going to mess with their soldiers. It's easier to mess with you, in Idaho. It's easier to mess with Roy than it is to mess with somebody from South Central. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get it. I get it. But, the thing of it is there's I got to tell you, dude, there's more guns per capita per household here than anywhere I've ever lived. I mean, the people here are serious. And when I say serious, I mean, not only do they have the guns, they practice with them a lot. And
well, see, that was my question earlier in the show. When you go to these gun sellers, right, how many more people are like you? How many people are pissed off?
It's very early for me to say, so I'm only going to make a summation here and go on what I think. So I'm going to give you an opinion on this.
50%, 100%. Well, what are we looking at?
I'm going to say 80%.
80? Wow.
Yeah, 80. Everybody I talk to, Ken, everybody I talk to, with the exception of one person, felt the same way I do. One person thought we should be more cautious, but thought it was unreasonable to shelter in place.
Well, did that one person still have their California plates on their car?
I am the suspect of that, yes. And, I talk with people at the bank. I talk with people waiting in line at the grocery store. I talk with just the average Joe citizen to gauge the situation for myself. What are we in for? And I thought, there's no way in hell this governor is going to do this. I was fairly confident that he would not do this. Well,
does he have an R behind his name? Is he an R or is he a D?
Butch Otter is his name. Yeah, he's a Republican.
No, Butch Otter's gone.
No way.
No.
Oh, yes.
Otter's gone. Now you've got Butch Little in there. Or Brad Little, I'm sorry. Brad Little is the new governor. He was Butch's right-hand man.
Oh, okay.
He just kind of shoved him in. I don't think Otter would have done this way. He would have had a more limited response, which I think there is a response that is appropriate. I'm not saying let's do nothing, but what I'm saying is, as Ken pointed out, this is so far overreaching as to strain any level of common sense. We have gotten we've got to get a grip on ourselves here.
And I just want to ask.
I think the R behind his name should be changed to recall. So you guys talk to recall person.
I just want to ask this question. Is the reason Otter didn't run, was he term limited out?
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll have that discussion later on. But and I think Dwayne might be aware of it, but I want to get Kenny's take on this, and this is what causes me concern. On Saturday night, we broke a story because I got an email from the superintendent. One of the school staffers contracted or tested positive for coronavirus. Now, the schools were closed, but they could have been open during the period of da-da-da. But they were still passing out the school lunches. Kids were still getting the lunches from that school of that. Dr. Cameron Kaiser, and finally, it took them till I posted it, put it up on IEN Newswire, was on there. Nobody was saying nothing about that until Monday morning. The school district finally posted a response, and they said, yes, confirming the staffer did this. And this is Dr. Cameron Kaiser, who's a Riverside County health official, said, basically paraphrasing, the remote risk of anybody catching this or spreading this was extremely or very remote. But he did handle the school lunches, but he did have gloves on. So about Monday afternoon, I called up the Riverside County Health Department, got a hold of the PIO, Public Information Officer, Joe Arballo, and I said, yeah, is this so that, I had the email, kind of introduced myself because I never talked to him before. And I said, okay, this is my next question. Coronavirus, in the reports, is said to survive 3 days on plastic. The man was wearing plastic gloves. Well, let me back up. He said, and I asked him about the remote, what's a remote possibility? He said, well, the only really possibility is if he took the gloves off, turned them inside out, and then handled lunch. So I said, this is my question. Since the coronavirus has been stated in many, many places that it can last up to 3 days on plastic, and he was wearing plastic gloves, and he touched the lunches or handed them out with plastic gloves to the kids, or is this transferable, or could it have been transferred on that? And he says, well, I don't want to speculate on that. And I said, well, fine, but you or Dr. Kaiser have every opportunity to come in or comment on IE Newswire Daily, make a statement on this, but something ain't adding up on this whole thing, or that's the question I have, which has remained unanswered today. So if it's extremely remote, in one case where it has to deal with a school and passing out lunches to kids, but you close down the school, move the lunches anywhere else, but it's extremely remote of passaging, then why all this lockdown stuff? Or why all this fear? Or why all this everything else? Again, 2 and 2 is not adding up to 4. It's coming out to 986,000 in my case.
I can give you the answer. It's one word: control. That's what it's all about. Control the people, and then you control the outcome. And what we have is a problem reaction solution here, whereby, the old George Putnam used to use the term Hegelism, whereby they present the problem, and of course they have the cure. And the cure is this multi-trillion-dollar omnibus bill that's going to cure everything wrong with society and give them back the money.
Kenny.
Well,
I hear you guys. I mean, put it this way. And you and me both, Roy, and I know you probably know some teachers too, bro. I don't want to offend the good teachers, but there's so few of them that I'm not worried about it. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Since when did teachers give a damn about kids? They don't. And Roy, I want to pass this on to you, bro. I heard that the people in Corona, California, they're saying, can you please stop calling it the coronavirus? You know what I mean? So, I've been calling it the COVID and the China because Corona gets a little tired.
Again, somebody's got, and you bring up a great point of that. Somebody somewhere is going to be offended about somebody could be offended by the name Roy. So I guess we should not, I guess I should run down to the court system, which is closed right now, and change my name because somebody might be offended because my name is Roy. That's how absurd.
Well, I mean, watch this, Roy. Come on now. You got the cowboy hat on. Your name is Roy. I'm resisting right now, trying not to say yippee-ki-yay.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a little bit more to that, but I can't say it on the radio.
Oh, well, yeah, it is. And that's what's becoming so absurd. I mean, that's how absurd we're getting at this. And I get your point on that. And I bring it out all the time. In 1990, we were number one in education in California, if not the world. We were the world standard. Now we're down on the bottom. And we're spending more, $20,000, and this is when undisputed yet, of that per student, K through 12 in California is what we're spending. That means the average class of 30 kids is $600,000 a year in every K through 12 school in California. And this is the results and the stuff that we're getting from that. I mean, if that isn't have the majority of Californians outraged, I don't know what is.
Wow, I'm just floored. Are you $600,000 per classroom? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's some of that new math. Because bottom line is this: how you gonna spend $600,000 so kids can get molested, so kids can get bullied and beat to death by their classmates, so kids can be taught that they're not little boys and little girls, so they can be taught stuff that, and man, I did a rally with these people that were fighting against the new sex ed program, right?
Yeah.
If you or I, if any one of the three of us showed that same stuff to a kid in a park, we'd go to jail. I'm really disgusted with the educational system, to tell you the truth.
Dwayne?
Yeah, I've got a friend that is a teacher. He teaches welding at Colton High School, and the roadblocks he's got to go through. So the latest thing is he can't get rid of a student out of his class, no matter how bad the kid is. He has to keep letting him back. Now, he's put his foot down and said, "Nope, I don't let him back." He goes, if they piss me off to that level, he goes, they're gone. And he's got a real slow fuse. You got to really screw up around this guy. But when you tell a kid, hey, guess what? They can't get rid of you. You just gave them a license to steal, basically, and told them, you know what? You can do whatever you want. Nothing's going to happen. There's no consequences.
Yep, the kids are. It's the same thing. The criminals are running the prison. The kids are running the schools, not the other way around. And that's as simple as I can make it. That's why we're upside down.
You know what's so funny? They want to give Obama the credit for Trump's economy. They want to give Obama the credit for everything. Why don't they give him credit for the things he really did do? Giving this type of an environment to the school system, compliments of Barack Obama.
You got that straight. This actually, Janet, goes back even farther with the No Child Left Behind Act from George Bush. That is where it really it really started, that opened the door. Obama just finished it. They added so much BS to education. Look what we have done to these kids. We have literally dumbed down education to the point where all they've got to do is show up and have a pulse, and they pass because, we've got to have a 70% passing rate. And so if we lower the test scores, we can get more kids to pass.
But
Well,
see,
yeah, that's
like my
correct,
good
but-
friend Larry Elder said, he said that in the Los Angeles school district, children are performing below standards. They can't even do rudimentary math. They can't read.
Right.
I mean, look.
Exactly.
I'm gonna try to calm down, but you have, this is a good show, Roy. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. How much more are we going to take? And am I recruiting for violence? Of course not. But just like in the movie Network, remember the movie Network where he said,
Oh, yes.
I want you to
Yes.
go to your windows, I want you to raise
I'm
it up,
mad
and I
as
want you
hell
to
and I
say,
can't take it
I'm
anymore.
mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
You got it. Well, we've got to get good and mad, and we've got to use the vernacular and not mince words. We got to get good and pissed off, folks, and we got to do something. We've got to take our country back.
So, Roy, what are you going to do, man? What are we going to do?
Well, we got to start getting in people's faces. We've
yes,
been nice too long.
that's why I've been steadfast, not backing up. Just like you said, Kenny, about the test scores, I bring them up. I go to my local school board meetings almost. They have 2 of them a month. I'm there a month. I do that. And this is what even happened. The superintendent of that inflated the gains that they made on that. And I pointed it out and had a meeting with the chief academic official and the IT guy who was going to that. And they're finally looking at that. And it took me like 3 months for them to get them to admit that was going on or that they did that. These are the people that are educating or in charge of educating your kids. It's not only in LA, it's going on in the Inland Empire, across that and across this country as that. And I'm going to say this. It started even before No Child Left Behind. The demise of the education system was started.
Hey, are you coughing?
Yes,
Roy?
I'm getting.
Are you coughing?
Yes.
Are you coughing?
Yes.
Let me put my mask on.
Yes,
real quick.
put that
Hold on.
mask on. Put a condom over the microphone so you don't get infected. It started in 1979 under Jimmy Carter, and the Federal Department of Education did not start till 1979 under the end of the Carter administration. Ronald Reagan in 79 and 80 campaigned. One of his main things was, I was going to get rid of the Department of Education. He was elected in November of 1980, served for president for 8 years, and could not get rid of it. And it had only been established a year and a half. This is the danger behind this, and this is why, like that, I talk about the war on the straight white male, not being so sensitive and all this stuff, and I'm going to keep pounding it, and I'm going to do it, like I said, to the cops and the firefighters out there that were lying to us on keeping the gas tax. You on the flyers that got defeated this time on school bonds, $15 billion school bond. You firefighters were on there again saying, oh, asbestos in our schools. Yeah, you put pressure on. You know who you are that have done it to try to get me off the air, to try and get this voice silenced, saying we didn't know about it. That is off the table now. And I'm telling you what, I have not backed down. I have stepped on the gas, hit 6-gear overdrive, and and I will keep doing that as long as I'm sitting on the top side of the grass. If you're going to try and intimidate me or doing that, see how that works out for you. That's the message I have for you. That is what I have done. That is what I will continue to do, and I will continue to fight, like I said, as long as I'm sitting on the top side of the grass on God's green earth.
Well, let me just get this in there real quick. And this, as a young African American male growing up on the South Side of Chicago, I still have this belief, and I believe it with all my heart. Equality is not the removal of rights from another in favor of another.
Preach
Equality is equality. And what's happening to the American white male? I'm ashamed, because what we're supposed to do is, even the start off point, you can never change the end results. That's going to be the character of the person, the grit of the person, the education, the preparation. You can't change the outcome. We all start equal. That's all we can do. But this new attack that's against the white male, I can't tell you how many times I've been called an uncle and all this. It ain't about that. It's called do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I regret what's happening to the American white male right now, but that's all part and parcel of what's got to be done. You guys are fighting for your life. There's some brothers, we understand, we're fighting for our lives too. We got to come together.
Yes.
We got to get our Latino brothers. We got Blexit, Lexit, Walk Away. We got all these organizations, and I'm friends with the presidents of all of them. We have got to, basically, we got to count our numbers. What do you say, my brothers? We got to count our numbers.
Absolutely. I'm with you, Ken. And you know what? The more we all talk together and realize that the problem is not us, it's the problem is with the people that are trying to put and keep the shackles on us, like Mason Weaver said. You know what? It's okay to leave the plantation. And that's for both white and black people and brown people and yellow people, by the way, because we've all had our turn at it. You know? I mean,
exactly. Now, granted, we brothers have had it for a very long time. But yeah, you're right. Even the Irish with the potato wars, all that stuff, potato famine, everybody has, the Chinese, come on. Without them, there would be no Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe.
Correct.
So yeah, you're right, brother. We've all had the dookie stick in our hand. It's time to take it's time to take the dookie stick and put it down. Not just grab it and beat each other with it. It's like, like that black young lady. Oh man, I can't tell you how I felt. She was in a college room and it's on video. It went viral. She stands up and says, "Excuse me, but all the white people need to leave because there's too many of y'all in here." I fell out of my chair.
Yes. And now take that and contrast that young lady's actions with somebody like Candace Owens.
Oh, there's no comparison, bro. Candace Owens is a friend of mine. No, there ain't. Night and day. Night and day. No pun intended.
No. And look, you're going to have people that for whatever reason have an entitlement mentality and think that they can, that somehow this empowers them by standing up in a group and singling out somebody else. That's a bullying tactic. That's all that is.
Right, and watch this. Add to that that we got Governor Gavin Newsom, so-called governor.
Wish he was mayor.
He said, right, I know, huh?
Yeah, he'd be doing less damage.
You funny, Roy. Roy got jokes. Watch this. And the man is saying that this quarantine in place is going to last for 6 months till June. Those people, just like that girl in that classroom, they out here in these streets bored to death. So when Soros starts dropping his dimes on the street, we got problems.
No, I say this in tongue in cheek, but when us ditch bank Okies from Edgemont join with the Arkies in Arkansas, with the South Side of Chicago boys, or the East LA and the guys down in the bar, the ones down in East LA and the barrio versus the potato farmers up in Idaho. Man, we got to start making our voice heard and heard strong on this before we do wind up into a situation we all don't want to be in.
Well, Roy, I'm gonna tell you something, and I'm sure we all are probably gonna agree on this. That's your gut talking. You did this special show today because, like you said, something don't feel right. Something ain't right, brother. We can't put our finger on it because we're in strange territory right now.
Yes,
we've never been here as a nation. So I'm going to agree with you, man. I can't put my finger on it either. Can you put it on? Can you put it on yours either?
No. You can just. We're the ant on the big tractor tire. It's rolling, and we know something's happening, and we just don't know what it is.
Exactly. but now without being paranoid, because we have friends in different levels of the radio game, and their professionalism forbids them from speculation. They stick to the facts.
Right.
They speak only the facts. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's a good thing. But the people need somewhere that they can talk about the speculative. And Roy, thank you for opening up that that door to where we could actually have this conversation and the people can hear it, because something's going on, something's about to go on. I just don't know what to call it.
I agree with you on that stuff, and like I say, I mean, amongst that, and I will keep doing this stuff of that, but even for me personally, this is like a therapy session of getting this stuff all out, and these conversations need to go on. We will continue to do them. Maybe we'll do this like once a week or something, like on this, where we can just sit here and shoot the breeze and put these topics out, and discuss this stuff and get it out there, because I think it's absolutely necessary on that. And like I say, we've been on over an hour and a half now on that, and this is my third broadcast of the day, and my battery's running low on this whole thing.
Well, hold on. Before we leave, I want to ask you two brothers a question real quick,
Go
okay?
ahead.
Do either one of y'all have some toilet paper I can borrow?
No, but I got some used corn cobs that you can use in a pinch.
Corn cobs? What the hell am I going to do with a corn cob?
Oh,
boy?
that was what they used to do way back in the day when George Washington was fighting the deal. That's what they used.
You soak them in hot water overnight.
Yes.
They soften up. They're not too bad.
See, you boys from the south side of
y'all not playing.
Yes, you boys from the south side of Chicago can learn a little bit from us hicks and hillbillies out here.
Yeah, because at first I thought you was just joking, but then my man chimes in. He's like, "Just soak them and they'll get soft."
No, it's real. No, they used to do that.
I'm not putting no corn cob on my butt, y'all.
You will if you run out of toilet paper, bro. or that rear end's going to itch an awful lot.
We're missing that serious
tell me about it.
now. Let me tell you.
I've heard a lot of people say they wouldn't do a lot of things of that, but when push comes to shove, you'll change.
See, now you're trying to be funny. You're talking about corn cobs in my butt, and now you're saying push to shove. I'm on to you guys.
Oh man, you got to laugh about this stuff, because if you didn't, you'd cry, and we wouldn't look good doing that.
No.
I'll give you a shot to wrap it. Dwayne, I'll give you a shot, and then Kenny a shot to wrap it up, and then we're gonna end this little foray here for a Wednesday Hump Day.
Well, I tell you what, I think Kenny kind of hit on something there with the R being for recall. I consider myself somewhat of an activist. I do attend meetings, not as much as Roy does, but I tell you what, we keep looking at us up here, and I'll keep you informed. But I'm thinking that definitely needs to happen, because this is not something that we should take lying down. It's not a tolerable situation, and financially, this state can ill afford the amount of people that it's going to put out of work. So we'll just stay tuned and see how we can fix this for ourselves.
Kenny.
I want to say thank you for having me on your show. This has been great, because it's been bothering me too, and it's got to be getting to the people out there in the audience of the show. So you talked about it, you brought it up, and thank you for that. Anybody that's got some things to share, Roy, you still have that thread where they can chime in on Facebook and all that, right?
Chime in on that. You can catch Kenny on his broadcast, South Side of the Unicorn. You can catch us every day, or not every day, but Monday through Friday on IE Newswire Live from 5 to 6 on KMET 1490, broadcasting across the Inland Empire from 5:30 to 6. And catch us on these bonus broadcasts and stuff we're doing. And like I did is running the press conference live on IE Newswire Daily, like I did to do of Trump's press conference. We're going to start doing more of that stuff on this stuff to get this message out, to get the real story out, and because there's no other way to go.
Right. I'm gonna have you guys on my show one night too.
Good.
And Roy, it's called the Southside Unicorn Show.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I never, you know me, I can butcher a line better than anybody.
Yep, that's right. But yeah, so this has been great, brother. I know you got to probably put the cap on it,
Yeah.
but it's a pleasure chatting with you, brothers. This is what America needs to do. Is we can't go to the barbershop because it's closed. We can't talk to the, you know what I'm saying? We can't go to the church and talk because they closed that too.
Yes.
So Roy, thank you for opening your doors where we could all sit down and have a conversation without being censored over the subject.
You got it. Thanks a lot, Ken, for being on. Thanks a lot for Dwayne for being on. We'll do this again real soon. And I'm going to hold you to that invitation of being on your show.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Open invitation, brothers.
You got it. That's it.
Take
We're
care.
going to, like I said, this is my third broadcast of the day, alongside doing other stuff. So like I say, my battery's running low on this stuff. So I'm going to sign out on this broadcast today, bonus broadcast on Hump Day on that.
Hump Day?
Yeah, that's it. I've been waiting for that. I haven't heard that in a long time.
I know, huh?
Main thing, we're doing this because really there's no other way to go. And like I've said many times before, I don't want to be the one. I don't want to be the one answering to the generations or in the annals of history of seeing this country, this representative republic, the greatest country in the history of Earth, going down the tubes. I don't want to be the one
On our watch.
Yeah, on our watch. I don't want to be or answering them questions or being held up in history, saying you were the ones that let down George Washington from 1776, who started this whole thing. To every military member that fought and bled and died for this country to give you the freedoms you have and the ability to live in the greatest country that has ever been in recorded history. I will not do that. I will not, as long as I'm standing on the top side of the grass, I will not let that memory die. And I hope the majority of us will not let that die either. And if that is the theme, we will be okay.
Sounds good. You guys take care.
Thanks for being on,
No.
Ken and Dwayne. And that's it. Till next time. See ya.
Bye.
See you.